Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for turning a moment into a movement. I am your host, Jay Love, and I represent the Justice for Gerard movement. Gerard is my son who was wrongfully convicted of a crime he didn't do, innocent, and he went to prison for that crime. And so, because of that journey and meeting so many other family members and mothers, and who also had a person who was wrongfully convicted, I created this platform to come to you every Friday to speak on injustices and wrongful convictions. So, thank you for joining us. Our mission here at Turning a Moment to a Movement is to bring awareness to the wrongful conviction of Gerard and all others who are wrongly convicted, overly sentenced, mentally ill, medically frail in our community, to inspire, organize, and educate all communities about the needs to disrupt systems, policies, and patterns of the criminal legal system that leads to wrongful convictions. So, thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining us today. So, I wanted to start off this past Mother's Day. We were at Huron Valley to support the mothers for Mother's Day to stand in solidarity with Crystal, and today is Crystal's birthday. So first, we want to say happy birthday to Crystal. I was so honored to meet her mother and her sister, and all the other people who were there to support Crystal and her journey for medical care and clemency. As we know, Crystal is suffering from the toxic conditions inside the women's facility in Michigan Department of Corrections. And so before that um, particular day where we went out there to stand in solidarity with the women, Crystal had made a recording. And I want you guys to hear this recording. And I want to start off with that. And then we'll move on with the conversation. But I wanted you guys to hear for Crystal tonight. Uh, Also, she wants to let everyone know that she loves them and she's so thankful. I talked to her the other day, and even though all the things that's going on with Crystal, she still is very strong, and she just want to thank everyone who are supporting her. Continue to support her. All the letters and everything, the cards you guys sent. So thank you. So right now we're gonna hear from Crystal, and then we're gonna move after that to the panel.
My name is Crystal Denise Clark. My MA number is 435064. I'm in WHB, the Valley of Death. This is so bad. Oh, just trying to stay humble and patient. We had a lady pass a couple of days ago. Oh, man, she was crying and screaming for help. I was just told today for a whole hour, no one came and helped her. She died on the toilet. They said, this is got to stop. It just, flashback with me just sitting here begging them and crying out for help, that I'm in so much pain. And now we have lost someone else begging and screaming that she in pain, that she need help, and no one took it serious. Now she's gone. How many our life we got to get, they taking, they just letting us die. They sitting up here letting us die, y'all. This is so unstoppable. I'm sitting up here looking like this, trying to stay strong, just keeping faith in God. But just every day you look around, either they overdosing in here or they so sick in here, and no one is listening, no one is helping us. Help us. Y'all, this evil, sick people, doctors, warden officers, y'all came here to do a job not to kill us. Y'all just sitting here letting us die in pain and suffer. Like, this need to stop. All this drugs that's going on in here, this is so sad. They got people in here, they pregnant. You got some of them using drugs, some of them not. But it's ridiculous that they can get to it. Like, this is unstoppable. It's so... stuff I never heard of. I don't do drugs, never heard of this stuff. But these people are sick in here, overdosing. Like, we need help. We really need help in here. They sending these people to this prison and knowing this prison not right. Ain't nothing being done. We need to need to put a stop to it. Yes, it's only one women prison. Do something about it. Stop sending these people here acting like this is to help them, putting them in these groups. These groups are not doing nothing. All the young ladies come to me and asking me and talking to me for advice because they don't want to talk their business in front of 1,000 other people because it's not helping them. They're getting drugs right there. Like, this is wrong. This is wrong. I've been trying. I just been praying, asking God, please don't let me be next. Please, Lord, don't let me be next. I got family, really, and I know that lady has family that love her. Damn, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. I went over there on Friday to see the killing doctor, because that's what they is. They don't even deserve to be called doctors. They are sick in here. He called me over there. He's sitting there. We talking. He come bring up, are you still bringing up blood? I said, yes, sir. I've been throwing up blood. And he said, when the last time you threw up blood? I said, 2 days ago. Then he go off, since you got all these people and advocates out there fighting for you, my team, my leadership, and me was talking, and we came up to a collusion that lock you up in OBS, like trying to act like they're gonna watch me. Where this place that I called y'all before about is feces, pissy matches, the toilet leak. You got the people that they put over there, crazy people that they put back there, like they. Blood, toilets, blood everywhere. I had called y'all before when they did that to me. So I had to turn and say that I was not throwing up blood so I could leave from over there. So they would lock me up and stuff like that. And I told him I'd be willing to go to the infirmary part where the hospital, where the part that I'm supposed to go. I wouldn't mind going, but then you tell me that I don't have no choice. I don't have no rights with my health. That's what he flat out told me. So I had to say that I wasn't. It changed that I wasn't throwing up blood. I've been throwing up blood for too long. And they know it. But now they talking about, because the people out there fighting for me. So he hearing this. I said, sir, this seems like retaliation. He told me, oh, no. These people are wrong. They are sticking here. This is crazy what they are doing. How can they get away? How did they get away with this? How is it possible that they still got jobs when there's so much proof? How did they get away with this? And it hurt. It just hurt. I just want to jump on. They've been calling me for crazy all in my head. Just been telling me that, sitting in my face, all of them. When the results come back and I'm telling the truth, they want to put their head down. Oh, you was right. And then, we're going to take you to the surgery, heart surgery. You do the ablation, the procedure on your heart. You just want to jump up and do a procedure, not telling me anything. Like, it's something is wrong with these people. Like, God, I'm telling y'all, it's not right here. What they doing here is not right. We need help. In the government, you was just up here for your daughter. Look, she was just up here for her daughter graduation and everything. You right here. You said we matter. Michigan Gathers, we matter. Why you haven't came in here yet and see what's going on? Because you don't want to witness it because you know it's true. You know it's true. You haven't came here and stuff a feet or send. Even if you can't come, you could have sent somebody in here. We can just die in here, sick in here. Food ain't safe. Water ain't safe. When we lay in our head ain't safe. Y'all, drugs everywhere. Drugs. People don't even get high. Then turn around, come in here and get struck out on all kinds of drugs. When is this gonna stop? When is you gonna make a change? It could be your kids. It could be you. It could be your family. I don't understand why you haven't done nothing yet. I don't understand how she ain't done nothing yet. This is so heartbreaking. This is so heartbreaking. So I gotta sit here and suffer because if I say that I'm bringing up blood, I'm getting locked up in an unsafety, filthy, nasty, dirty, feces place. I gotta sit here and suffer? No, y'all, this is not right. This is unstoppable what they doing, but I promise to stay strong and keep on fighting. We need to stop this. No more bodies, no more deaths, no one lose their life. This needs to stop. This is so heartbreaking. This needs to stop. So it's getting out there. They hearing y'all fighting out there. And I thank God that they hearing. In case something do happen to me or happen to somebody else, that y'all know they done it and they won't get away with this. They need to know that people know what they are doing and they won't get away with it. They won't get away with it. I know they won't, because it's a God up there, and I believe in him, and I trust in him, and got faith they would not get away with this. Don Jones, Hum Tinsley, the warden, that Dr. Ellison, all y'all demons. They are cold-blooded demons in here. Like unstoppable, it's pure evil. It's pure evil. We should be able to go to them. But they took an oath. How did they pass these license tests? How? How did they pass the tests? How? I tell you what, I'm not the only one that done this too. No, it needs to be looked into everyday records and everywhere that they work. This is unstoppable. Close this place down. They try to make it look good when people coming in here for Lansing. They try to make it look good. But the people who come in here for Lansing don't even care. They don't come ask us questions. They don't even care. They went right with the prison. So why should y'all come in here? They make it seem like y'all doing something. This is unstoppable. I guess I've been throwing up blood. Barely can make my bowel movements. I'm still swole. My throat, these lungs, knots, whatever they want to call it, it's getting bigger. I can't break up about how the bone is second my body. My ears, y'all should see this stuff. This stuff ain't going no way. They ain't got me on nothing. He started taking medication, trying to blame it on the medications. Excuse after excuse. Oh, it's this medication probably because making you throw up blood. Nah, they just taking everything and making it seem like they doing something trying to help. Oh, let me do this test. No, do the right test. You know the mold is still in my system. You know it's probably in my blood and everything. It's killing me. Let's face the fact. You did all these tests y'all doing to try to make it seem like that. Let's face the fact on the truth and what it really is and stop covering it up. And get me help before it's too damn late. God. This is crazy. I'm the one that had to sit up with my heart racing like this, blood pressure staying high. They know something is going on. And they know something is wrong. And y'all study making excuses. They are trying to kill us. They want to kill us all, you ask me. One less person, they just kill us all one by one. Because that's exactly what they're doing. They don't even know how to be doctors. I don't understand this. I don't understand this. Y'all just take a moment and hear us crying and begging for help, and one of us gone now, crying, begging, and paying for help, and she's dead now. I'm crying, begging, and paying for help to get me to a hospital. What is it going to take? What is it going to take for them to do? What is it going to take for the government to come in here and do something? Howdy Washington, what is it going to take for you? What is it going to take for y'all to do something? The warden, he need to be out of here. They know everything is going on in here and don't do nothing about it. Our JPay, they take it from us. Our JPay been down. If anybody been contacting me, the gifts came up today. They keep it down for months or days and weeks, and so we can't get our mail. I haven't got regular mail, and I don't know when. And I know people been writing me because they always do. They try to take it, but you won't take my voice. You won't take my voice, though. Because I stand, not for me, I stand for all of us. And we all matter. So no matter what, a change is on its way. It will be a change because God say so. And he got the last say so. I stand for us all, and I fight for us all. So we need y'all out there by our side to stand with us and fight with us. And we need to stop letting us sisters here. We need to stop letting them die here. I'm telling you, I'm right here. They can help them. They asking for help. They can save these people, but they not taking it serious. You got some dudes, some officers, but most of them is just pure evil. And I said it, they just pure evil. They just you sit there and you come in here to work and y'all sit there and go through what y'all going through, get work like this and everything. Stand up. Stand up. You don't, we don't deserve it. Y'all don't deserve it. So why not speak up? Y'all can do something. Y'all can walk out here anytime and speak up. Speak up. It could be you. It could be you in the black of an eye. Speak up and tell them what's going on. Y'all ain't even got to get y'all damn name. Just say something. Y'all know what's going on in here. I just had to call y'all. There's so much going on. Like, there's so much going on. Like, I'm just, this is crazy. I could, like, look at this. This is just, how is it happening? How is they getting away? We need people. We need more people. It's time to go to the. We need to go to the government steps. In Lansing, the parole board government steps. These people are sitting here suffering, dying. They deserve to go home. You got innocent people in here. It's still all this time, and y'all still sit up here and let us suffer. Y'all still sit up here and let us suffer and don't care. We need to start families, people that love us and care. We need to start going to Lansing and showing them that we would not accept this. Y'all would not take this. These are y'all loved ones. Help y'all loved ones when they calling and telling y'all what they doing. These people, even in the man facility, help your loved ones before it's too late. Fight and stand. Keep on fighting. Don't fight one time. Don't fight twice. Stand and fight. And when
you have 1 minute remaining.
You get your loved one home. Don't stop fighting for others. Because there's people in here like me that care for all and fight for all. So when you just get yours, I continue on fighting for the next one. Just don't give up on the other ones. Because we took care of y'all loved ones. We fight here. I fight every day for us. So I'm asking y'all to come in and step in and fight for us. I love y'all so much. It is so much. I'm not getting no better. They are sick in here. I got to sit here and suffer. Can't go to healthcare. They trying to lock me up. God. I just love y'all. It feels so good hearing from y'all because it's been a while. It's been a minute. But y'all know when y'all don't hear from me, something ain't right. And I just appreciate all of you, and I just thank all of you, and may God bless you all. Fight for us. Fight. Stand with us. Stand with us. Thank you so much. Thank y'all so much.
That was Crystal, you guys. It's really hard to listen because and everything she's saying is true. You know, we do need to stand up. Um, there's a lot that's going on with her. She's very sick. When I talked to her last, you can tell she's breathing so hard, and like it's hard for her to catch her breath some days. So, you know, when I was thinking about the title for this week, I thought about um, the Marvin Gaye song, "What's Going On," when he says, "Mothers, mothers, mothers, there's too many of you crying. Brothers, 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 there's far too many of you dying. You know, we got to find a way to bring some love here today." And so I know that you guys are familiar with that song. We got so much going on. You know, we're protesting genocide, and we're protesting genocide here in America, here in Michigan. You know, so we got to get involved. We got to do more. Again, if you want to reach out to Crystal, she's at the Huron Valley facility. I will post her information. Oh, here it is. This is her information. Just send Crystal a letter of support. Crystal Denise Clark, for those who are listening. Crystal Denise Clark. Her number is 435064. She's in the Women's Huron Valley Correctional Facility, 3201 Bemis Road, Bemis, Bemis, Ypsilanti, Michigan, 48197. Just to send her a letter of support, let her know. I mean, today's her birthday. If you even want to send her a card. But I'm gonna bring on Alexandria because she was there with me and Revatia. Hey, Ali.
Hey, hello, Jay.
Yeah, that was hard to listen to.
Yeah, really do. Hey, y'all. Alexandra Hughes, community activist, all things mental health and human rights. And yeah, I was at the action last Sunday, and just hearing her just brings back how important this is to keep fighting
Yeah,
for, how important it is to continue to raise awareness. Um, yes, it's never easy here.
yeah. I mean, we met her mother, her sister, Um, they've been going through a lot because just imagine knowing that your loved one is in there suffering and nobody is really pushing to get her medical help. Um,
Right.
they're just doing like the bare minimum, and then the reason why she made this video is because another woman had died,
Mm,
and she's saying, I don't want this to be me. I just want medical help. And so I don't know why, I guess because then they have to acknowledge the mold that's inside of there. I see Revatia. Hey, Revatia.
Hey there, I had to watch. I had to watch as a viewer for a little while,
Yeah,
and that's always hard to hear. Um, it's always hard to hear, but yet I'm so glad we don't silence Crystal's voice because
yeah,
it's important that we still listen and know what's happening. Um, no matter when I hear her speak, even the day we were protesting, tears still
yeah,
come to my eyes um, because there still is not the efforts to provide medical help. And the other thing is that, you know, we talk a lot about rehumanizing, and this is another area of rehumanizing and making human the people that have been prosecuted and been placed behind bars, and
mhm,
are we treating them like humans?
yeah,
You know, is there humanity? Is humanity happening in this effort? And the answer is no.
yeah,
That is inhumane treatment. And if you are not assisting to liberate people from behind the prison walls to make sure that they are healthy, if you're not assisting to, or even helping, or even trying to hear the cries of those who are behind bars, then you're really aiding to their demise.
yeah, yeah. So, and those women there are suffering, you
Yeah,
know. I received a message just the other day from a woman. She was responding to one of the videos I put on TikTok about Crystal. And she was saying that she was there in Huron Valley, did not know it was mold in there, but she has been, since she left there, she has had trouble breathing. And she didn't know why until she saw the video
yeah,
of us talking about Crystal. So, you guys, we have to, use our voices to stand up for those women.
yeah,
And we're going to keep on until Crystal is home,
yes,
talking about her, lifting, advocating for her, and all the other women who probably don't even know.
yeah.
Like the lady said, she didn't even know. And she saw our video. So, and for the women who don't know that that condition is inside there. Hi, Revertia.
Hi there. I'm just so glad to be in tonight. Really tried to get here. Um, and you know, it's so important that we know that our system is broken. It is not only broken, it never was a system for rehabilitation,
Yeah.
you know. And even though the mission states that it is to, supposed to be rehabilitating people, rehabilitation, when you think of rehab, is not happening. What does rehab look like? And you look at, with doing counseling and really helping people with trauma. Do you think trauma is evaluated in prison?
Mm-hmm.
How many people do you think have traumatic stories that are doing time? And if they didn't have one, if they just had one or two, they got a plethora of stories once they're behind there, once they start serving time. So we really
Right.
do need to, do something about that.
Right. And I agree with Ali just said.
Yeah.
Crystal and none of those ladies got a death sentence.
Nope.
Yeah, it's not, that at time and time again, people are sentenced to death, and
Yeah.
they're lying in our faces by saying rehabilitation. I put quotes on that because it's not what it ever is. It takes me back to COVID even.
Yeah.
With the pandemic, a lot of people are still in prisons and even jails with the pandemic spreading,
Yeah.
COVID spreading. And
Mhm.
again, it goes back to, well, why wouldn't they release them? It's about death. It's
Mhm.
not about rehabilitation. And they're just using that exception to the 13th Amendment over and
Mhm.
over, and
Mhm.
they're just abusing it. It was never, it just goes to show, it was never meant to be. Slavery was never meant to be ended.
Right.
Right.
Just
Right.
brought to us in a new form.
Mhm. Hi, Attorney Matt.
Ladies, so good to be with you again this evening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. Is it my turn?
Oh yeah, Attorney Matt.
Well, I've just been somewhat sombered by listening to Crystal, and it's just another example of why we cannot afford to stop the fight. We cannot afford to stop the fight. Because that could be us or our loved ones. And you know what continues to amaze me is how many people, particularly my people, don't seem to understand that. They
Yeah.
really don't seem to understand that. And I just pray for God to give me the ability to speak the truth. And the thing of it is, of course, I know about white supremacy. I mean, I know. But because I acknowledge white supremacy doesn't mean that I'm going to ignore deficiencies in our own community.
Right.
Okay. And the thing of it is, you can say what you want about the Jews or the Arabs, Italians. Those folks are very clannish. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Okay. And they have a great sense of community for self. So, when I look at a yeshiva, or Beth Israel hospitals and stuff like that, because people want to gather together and protect their own interests. And I'm saying with Black people and brown people nearly making up 50% of the prisons and county jails, you would think the relatives, just the relatives alone of those people would speak up. Okay. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if the population of Huron Valley Women's Facility is at least 40% Black. It wouldn't surprise me at all. So I'm saying, where are those voices at? And I wasn't able to make the rally, but how come their relatives weren't out there with y'all? See, I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Well, in a way I do. I mean, in a way I do. Having experienced a penitentiary myself, really throw away people, really throw away people, And Black Americans aren't that different from other Americans going on with life. You know, I got my job, I got my house, I got my car. Look, I'm sorry for them people, but shame on them. Shouldn't have been caught up. You know, so until it happens to you, of course.
Yeah,
Of course, you know.
of
So
course.
yeah. So, you know, J Love, very, very somber. And, you know, how is it somebody could think that this woman is faking? You know what I'm saying? I mean, how is that? You know, and when I look at all of you, my colleagues, what motivates all y'all to come here week after week, you know, month after month, year after year? Ain't nobody making a whole bunch of money on this. I know I'm not. If y'all are, share. You know, so you know, so you would think that people would start to understand, hey, wait a minute. Why do these people keep saying the same thing over and over again? And proof is building and building and building and building. You know, but like I say, it's a circle, and it's a big circle, but it is a circle. I'm promising you right now, this whole thing is going to come full circle, because it's going to bite somebody who thinks they're unaffected and above it right in the ass. And when they do, when it does, as it will, they say, oh, that's what it's talking about. Just like qualified immunity. Just like qualified immunity. It took that Oxford shooting, tragic as it was, for people in the majority culture to understand, well, wait a minute now. What you mean ain't nobody accountable? Well, a qualified immunity, I thought that was only for the mud people.
Right.
You know, so there we are. But proud to be here, J Love. Just very sombered by the presentation of Crystal. So maybe I won't do my normal intro this time.
I know, Attorney Matt, you said something very key, and then we're gonna get into it. But we shouldn't have been able to get on Bemis Road.
That's true.
Everybody should have had a family member who had somebody in that prison, should have been out there with us.
That's true.
And it's so sad, and you're right, Attorney Matt, that it takes something to happen to you before you decide, oh my goodness, you're right. You know, it shouldn't have to. That's why we come here on every Fridays, because we don't want this stuff to happen to you. We're trying to bring awareness of what's going on. And while we are, you know, distracted by celebrity news and all this other stuff that's going on, that means nothing. You know, these people don't even know you, but we're like so tied to them.
That's true.
That the stuff that really concerns us is on the way in the back burner. It's not even affecting us. We are going on like we don't hear this lady crying out week after week. I talk to her on the phone. I hear how she's breathing, but it's even people inside that prison like thinking that she's faking. She is not faking this. She's going through hell in there. She can't breathe. It's hard to talk to her. Her children are suffering. Her mother, we talked to her mother. Her mother, her family are suffering because nobody won't give this lady adequate health care. And if you are a ward of the state, because isn't that correct, Attorney Matt? When you're in prison, you're a ward of the state.
Well, I mean, no, you aren't a ward of the state. You're a prisoner of the state.
Okay, so
Okay.
if you're a prisoner of the state, then the state is responsible, right?
That's true.
The state is responsible for your well-being.
That's true.
So why would they let these women in here suffer and die and go through all the stuff that they're going through in there? Why? We have to ask ourselves why.
Yeah.
Why is he doing this?
You know what? Two things. One, on your point of the distractions and things like that, and people not paying enough attention. One, I think trauma is normalized for a lot of folks, so it didn't necessarily take for them to have to go through it to get it. It's just, even if they went through it or didn't go through it, but they see it all the time, you know, it's around, they've normalized it, and they can be numb to it. And I think a lot of people and maybe some related to folks inside that prison believe that's normal. And it's sad because that implies they don't know anything else, which is a problem in itself. And the second thing too, I recall having a conversation. This is taking me back to a conversation I had with a lawyer, and we were just talking about the Constitution, and we came to the conclusion in our discussion that the jails and the prisons could not be held accountable. Well, the prisons, exactly, state prisons couldn't be held accountable under the Constitution for wrongdoing. Like, that's not a way to hold prisons and those who run them accountable for what they're doing. And I just made me really think, because the Constitution is the document that we operate this country off of. And if that can't hold them accountable, then what does that mean for the people there? I've been pondering on that.
What that means for people out here.
Yeah.
You have to go inside one of those places. I've been inside as a visitor. As a visitor is inhumane. As a visitor, it's just horrible. People bring children in there. It is not even a place that you would really want to bring your kids, because the way it is set up and the things that you go through, let alone having to be there, let alone have to work there.
And that's why I think, like, with knowing that, the only thing left to do is to start to remove the prisons. And that may sound, oh my God, radical. I can't, what are we going to do? You get all those people. But, mechanically, structure-wise, under everything, it's not working how it's supposed to. It's not rehabilitating people to the point where they won't come back. That the data's not showing that, and it hasn't for quite some time. So the only thing left is to start to build anew something healthy. And it can be done. I mean, there's prisons that have been removed in California, for example. The only thing is, we cannot get in the habit of just building a new one when one is removed. Mm-hmm. We have to do our homework on what better we need, not what is easy. Having a new prison, again, is easy, it's lazy, and it's toxic.
Yeah.
But what's healthy is building something completely unmatched to what we already have and rooted in public health.
Yeah. Yeah. And
it's not working.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not working. And we got to take our communities back by giving our communities really looking at what do we really need. We keep waiting for the government or somebody else to come in and save us and help us out and be the answer. And yes, they have some of the answers, because they're the ones who are running slave camps. And so it's no longer a prison. This is slavery, and that's what it is. So what do we do now? What we need to put before our eyes, what we really want to see, and we got to keep showing it of the possibilities, because what is shown all the time is the necessity for prisons is what they want, is what a lot of times they want to show, is the necessity of incarceration. And all that does is make somebody else rich. Somebody else is getting rich. Companies are getting rich. Families are getting rich. Some families, very few, are getting rich off of somebody else's demise.
Mm-hmm.
Families that are demise of a whole families in neighborhoods, and yet somebody else is exploiting that system just for economic gain.
Yeah.
So they really don't care. We're looking for somebody to care. They don't give no damns about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we really need to understand. It is time for us to see, okay, what is possible. We need to really look at the possibilities of something new.
Mm-hmm.
And really, voice and keep writing our representatives if they're supposed to be representing us. But and let's look at the representatives that have taken monies that shut them up, where they're not even able to speak for what we want. And it's time for us to recognize and put them on blast and stop it.
Right.
I just think that after so long, they just don't care. They can't care. Because how can you hear Crystal's cry along with other women, other people, and sit there and watch and that be okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, you know, as everybody here knows, this is all woven together. And it really starts with what started the road for Crystal to go to prison in the first place.
Yeah.
She didn't just magically end up in prison. Some set of circumstances, either caused by her or somebody else, or a combination of both, ended up with her being there. And see, we gotta start backtracking this. I'm sure, you know, I know you all feel the same way. We got to start backtracking this to the root of this, okay? And the root of this is kind of like a path that people run on all the time. You know, the root of this is somehow is getting us on that track that is slowly heading toward the penitentiary, slowly walking toward the penitentiary. And unless, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it, unless you're an exceptional Black person, I mean, you've got some kind of a family structure or religious structure or a community structure, you slowly being pushed toward that path. I mean, because the subtle things that you see that tell you how you're different. I mean, I tell a story about myself all the time. You know, I grew up thinking Tarzan deserved to be in the jungle ruling them people. Okay. You know, because I've never seen any man that could whip a gorilla, a lion, an elephant, a rhinoceros, a hippopotamus, okay, and 50 Black men at the same time, in the same day. You know, I thought George Foreman was a hell of a man when he fought 5 fighters in one night, but Tarzan was doing that. And so, you know, I mean, I can laugh at myself at that situation now, but in your formative years, there was no Black Tarzan. There was no Black hero. Y'all remember the Phantom? You know, a guy in a mask and some tights and had a gun on. Okay, he all up in the jungle. Okay, you know, when I was growing up watching TV out of Detroit, you know, Bongo Bailey, you know what I'm saying, and Buana Don and all that kind of stuff. You know, putting on shows and stuff like that. So every time that I would see something like that, and I would see, and I know I'm laughing at myself here, I would see the Flintstones. You know, I never saw no Black people on the Flintstones, you know, and I didn't see no Black people on the Jetsons. So I'm saying, wait a minute. So the Black people, the cartoon Black people, had to have been created sometime after Fred Flintstone and died out before George Jetson. So those are the kind of things that just as a young Black boy growing up, and, you know, our heroes, you know, were all people that never looked like us. You know what I'm saying? In large measure. So what I'm saying is we got to start backtracking to self-respect for ourselves, first of all. You notice how anybody can come into the Black community and do what they want to do? People come into Detroit and do what they want to do. Other ethnic people, men can come in and try to associate with Black women, but you could never go to their community and associate one of their women, you know, for religious or cultural reasons or what have you. So somewhere along the line, we have let people make us think it's okay to come to us and do anything you want to do. I was in court yesterday or a couple of days ago with a client, and this man was the victim of a crime. They treated that man like he had a tail. kept the man out in the hallway, didn't tell the man nothing. You know, under the state constitution, 1963, Article 1, Section 24, as a victim of crime, you've got a right to make what's known as a victim impact statement, okay? In other words, when the person that did wrong to you criminally, you have a right to make that statement. That's not some custom, that's a law. That's the highest law in the state, the Constitution. And they didn't give this man any respect whatsoever. The only reason we found out about things because we had to go in the courtroom and sit and ask questions. The prosecutor was supposed to be protecting us, didn't do nothing. He was like, just a name on a piece of paper, a name on a piece of paper, you know? And then when we went in and tried to raise the issue with the judge, you know, she called herself chastising me. So, you know, and I know good and well, particularly in that community, had this man been another color, I really don't believe he'd have been treated like that. I really don't. I really don't. So, you know, and it comes from us not having the will to stand up and go on and fight. Like I said, and whoever's J Love or somebody said it, that you shouldn't have been able to get on Bemis Road. You should have to park your car down on Whitaker or some other road and walk. You know? So, okay.
Yeah, Attorney Matt. Go ahead, Attorney Matt, while you got the mic. It's on you.
On Posse Comitatus?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Well, first of all, we were talking last week, and I appreciate the opportunity to bring something to everybody's attention. Some of you may know about Posse Comitatus already, but for those of you who don't, but before I get on that, today is May 17th, is it not?
Yeah.
This is the 70th anniversary of Brown versus Board of Education. Okay? The 70th anniversary of Brown versus Board of Education. When I was in law school, I was one of the only people in law school that was born after Brown versus Board of Education. So I guess I'm kind of dating myself. I was born August 24th, 1954. Brown was decided May 17th, 1954, you know. So at the time Brown was decided with Linda Brown trying to get up in the school, my late mother was well into her pregnancy, okay? So we cannot let this day go by, okay? We cannot let this day go by because, you know, a lot has happened. A lot of people have died and continue to die for that basic freedom of being able to go to a school where you're qualified to be in, you know, you're qualified to be in. So, yeah, so Brown versus Board of Education, 70th anniversary today. Well, I'm not quite sure, J Love, how the issue of Posse Comitatus came up in our last discussion. I know I brought it up, but I'm going to talk about the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878. The term Posse Comitatus, it's a Latin phrase meaning the power of the county. We all know what a posse is, okay? And a posse is a group of citizens that are classically deputized by a sheriff, okay? You know, we've all seen the Western shoot 'em up movies where somebody robs the bank and the sheriff gets a posse up, right? As a matter of fact, Mario Van Peebles and a bunch of other black actors were in a movie called Posse, you know, called Posse, about black people after the Spanish-American War that were fighting against racism. And Blair Underwood was in that movie. Actually, a pretty good movie. So that's what Posse Comitatus means. It's a group of people organized by a sheriff, a local authority, to enforce laws and to restore law and order. They've got a statute in Michigan that allows county sheriffs to deputize people to help him or her enforce the laws. So let me read you what the statute actually says, and I'd like to explain to you how Posse Comitatus came into being. Okay.
Okay.
Currently, Posse Comitatus is codified in the United States Code. The United States Code is federal law that Congress passes, specifically 18 U.S.C. Section 1835. That law says, whoever, except in cases and under circumstances expressly authorized by the Constitution or Act of Congress, willfully uses any part of the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Air Force, or the Space Force as a posse comitatus or otherwise to exceed or execute the laws shall be fined under this title and imprisoned for not more than 2 years or both. Now, what this does is that law, it limits the ability of the federal government to use federal military personnel to affect domestic policy within the United States, okay? So Congress passed the act in specific response to the end of Reconstruction, okay? So let me explain how this came about. Now, we know that the Civil War was like from 1861 to 1865, okay? And then the passing of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. So what happened was to enforce those constitutional rights, the rights of citizenship of Black men and the right to vote. And by the way, not black women, okay, Black men to vote. You know, Black men have been part of sexism ourselves, okay, throughout the history of this country. You know, Black women, in terms of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, that's the first time Black women's rights to vote were actually fully enforced. But in any event, so what happened is this: the South in Reconstruction was like from 1865 to 1877, with federal troops in the South, in South Carolina, Florida, Louisiana, okay, Mississippi. Black people were allowed to have the right to vote, and that's the time you see this great emergence of Black people in Congress, like Black senators, Black congressmen, okay, in the South. So what happened is that the anger against Black people having a modicum of success under Reconstruction was building in the South. So what happened was the South never accepted the defeat and was slowly trying to nibble away at civil rights legislation and acts, for example, the 13, 14, 15 amendments, to enrich the lives of Black people. So what happened is that they couldn't do anything to the Blacks primarily because the federal troops were there, okay? The federal troops were there, which were the protection of Black people. So let me just segue for a minute. The very next time somebody Black tries to tell any of y'all listen to this right now, get the federal government out of my life, if you can do so without going to jail, slap them. Because what I'm telling you is whatever Black person says that has absolutely no understanding of the role of the federal government in protecting Black people from states, okay? They have absolutely no understanding. And that is not to be in love with the federal government, don't get me wrong. But it's federal programs, not state programs that have been the boon to help to Black people. You don't see a bunch of state civil rights legislations, okay? You know, you don't see voting rights acts on a state level. You don't see civil rights act on a state level, by and large, particularly in the South. So the relationship between Black people and the federal government is one we should not be running from. It's one we need to be running to, because it's very clear, for example, with police brutality, we're not getting no action on a state level. What is it, last year, this time, I made a presentation about qualified immunity, okay? You see, we're not getting no action there. Okay, so we need federal legislation about qualified immunity. We need federal legislation in terms of George Floyd legislation. We need federal legislation that's going to address a standard of conduct for all police agencies, okay, in the states, in the United States of America. You got over 80,000 police agencies, over 880,000 police officers, okay? That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And each of them have their own little kingdom that you may be unfortunate enough to drive through and get caught up in. So what happened was there was an election in 1876, okay? The Republicans' name was Rutherford B. Hayes, and the Democrat's name was Tilden. I believe his name was Samuel Tilden. He was a Democrat. Okay, now you got to understand something. In the history of the nation, the Democrats have classically been arch racists, arch white supremacists. Okay, arch white supremacists. All right, primarily in the South. The party that actually was started as quote unquote an anti-slavery party was the Republican Party, actually. Okay, actually, and that created the dynamic of a growing anti-slavery movement, what they call the radical Republicans and the racist Democrats. So what happened is this, to make a long story short, in the election of 1876, you needed 185 votes from the Electoral College to be elected president, okay? Well, Tilden had 184 votes, and Rutherford B. Hayes had like 165 votes, okay? But there were 20 votes outstanding from other states, primarily in the South. So what happened was the Southern racist Democrats told the weak, borderline racist Republicans, said, look here, if you don't agree to pull them federal troops out of the South and let us go back to controlling the darkies the way we did before the end of the Civil War, we are not going to allow Rutherford B. Hayes to get the votes necessary to be president, okay? So before Rutherford B. Hayes, there was a Republican president by the name of Ulysses S. Grant, okay? Ulysses S. Grant. And by the way, when you've got conservative Republicans talking to you about how the Democrats are the racist party and the Republicans are the savior of black people, remind them what the Republicans did to sell out black people in 1877. Remind them what the Republicans did. So what the Republicans did, they said, hey, if you will give us those 20 electoral college votes, okay, and make our man Rutherford B. Hayes president, we will agree to pass legislation that not only pulls federal troops out of the South, but we're going to pass what's known as a Posse Comitatus Act, which says that federal troops cannot be used on domestic American issues. All right. So in other words, if there's some kind of a riot or something like that going on in California, the Posse Comitatus Act says that federal troops cannot be employed by the federal government to go and quell that. Because what happens is the security of citizens of a state is primarily the responsibility of the state. Just like elections, for example, we saw in this last presidential election, remember how Captain Cheeto was trying to have those fake electors come in? Remember that? And say that, no, these are the real electors and the states decide, okay? And all that went to Supreme Court. Y'all remember that? So the security of citizens of the state of Michigan is primarily the responsibility of the governor of the state of Michigan, okay? The governor and law enforcement of the state of Michigan. So what happened was with the Posse Comitatus Act, they used that act, which was passed in like 1878. Oh, by the way, Rutherford B. Hayes got those 20 electoral college votes. So he got 185 votes to Mr. Tilden's 184 votes. So the next time somebody tries to tell you their vote don't matter, remind them about that right there, okay? That man was elected president by one vote, okay? So what happened is that when they enacted Posse Comitatus, the federal troops started being pulled out of the South before Posse Comitatus by Ulysses S. Grant. And Ulysses Grant pulled federal troops out of like Louisiana and Florida. And then when Rutherford B. Hayes got in under the Posse Comitatus Act, they pulled him out of like South Carolina, North Carolina, and some other southern states. So that was the end of Reconstruction. That's why Reconstruction ended in 1877, because that's when Posse Comitatus came into effect. It ended. There was no Reconstruction. Black people were still denied the right to vote. You know, black women being raped, having babies cut out of them, black men being castrated and hobbled, having their feet cut off and all that kind of stuff. So that was the end of Reconstruction. And that's why you haven't seen any black senators out of the South Tim Scott. Okay. As I said, you haven't seen any black senators out of the South. So you know, and there's a reason for that. Okay. There's a reason for that. So what's happened is
I have a question.
Yeah.
So it's got me thinking about history a little bit. There was something called the Ole Miss riot that happened in 1962. And Kennedy had deployed, I think, like 30,000 troops because of what was happening to stop the riot. Would that be allowed under this law that you're talking about?
Excellent
Because they're
question.
protecting.
Right. Excellent question. So what posse comitatus would have done in its purest form would have prohibited the president from ordering federal troops into an area on a domestic issue. The most famous example of that dynamic was in 1957 when President Eisenhower had look, it makes me emotional. President Eisenhower had to nationalize the Arkansas National Guard to protect the Little Rock Nine. You see, he had to, y'all, excuse me, that man had to, that man, you see, because there was an idiot racist Governor Faubus in Arkansas that said, no niggas will ever come up into Little Rock High School. Niggas will never come up in here, okay? And said, I will use the National Guard to stop them niggas from coming up in here. Eisenhower, to his credit, I can't let that happen, man. I can't let that happen. So what happened is under posse comitatus, Eisenhower would not have had the authority to be able to do that. But one of the exceptions to posse comitatus is that the president has got the authority to nationalize a state militia. You understand? In other words, so the state militia is not an army. It's a state, like the National Guard, that's not an army, okay? That's a state militia. An army is controlled by the government. A state militia, a National Guard is controlled by the state. But the president's got the authority to nationalize the National Guard. And that's why those black kids were allowed to get into Little Rock, Little Rock, you know what I'm saying, high school there, because federal, those were not state officials that let them black kids in there. Those were federal officials, okay? And the very same thing happened when George Wallace stood at the University of Alabama refusing to let James Meredith, I believe his name is, refusing to let James Meredith in. Nothing, boy, y'all, excuse me, I feel like I'm gonna cry. John Kennedy, and say what you want about Kennedy, he sent his brother down there, Bobby, said, look, George, either you're going to move out the way and let this man register, or we will push you out the way, you know, and with the force of nationalizing the army to back him up. So anyway, y'all, so I'm sorry, y'all, but it's very emotional to me. It really is. Yeah. So what happens is this, and I'm sorry if I'm jumping all over the board here. When people tell you elections don't mean anything, they do. You remember in Washington, D.C., when Captain Cheeto was the president, and they were protesting in Washington, D.C., that man was threatening the United States military on them black people. You remember when Donald Trump stood in front of that church with a Bible? Does that ring a bell to any of y'all? Okay, okay, talking about his religious rights. But this man was prepared to sic the military on them black people. So what happened is Congress passed what's called the Insurrection Act, okay, which is kind of a counter to posse comitatus in the sense that if there's an insurrection, a riot, for example, the president, under very limited circumstances, has got the right to quell an insurrection. And what happened is when Donald Trump was president back on January 6th, a few years ago, you had some people storm the Capitol of the United States. You understand? That was an insurrection, y'all. That was not no effing sightseeing tour. That was an insurrection, okay? And the man kept his yellow orange ass up in the White House, refused to deploy federal troops and authorize the deployment of federal troops to stop the insurrection. The man got on TV and said, okay, everybody, go on back home now, seeing what they did to the Capitol. And I'm sorry, I'm called playing a race card if you want. I know if me or anybody looked like me went up there talking myself, trying to hang Mike Pence, I wouldn't have been able to get the word hang out my mouth before my black behind would have been hanging from the highest limb myself. So what I'm trying to say to you is that the law in terms of posse comitatus, in terms of the Insurrection Act, it really depends on who you've got in power. It really, really does. Because when Donald Trump threatened to sic federal authorities on them black people and that mall in front of that church, when Donald Trump refused to have federal troops deployed and stymied Nancy Pelosi and them from having federal troops deployed, even the DC authorities were stymied. Even they were stymied, okay? If the DC authorities were there in force as they should have been, then people never would have gotten the Capitol. No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't have. Then people overran them local police. That's what they did. So in any event, so we've had instances where posse comitatus has really been used to stop federal forces from coming in to impact the rights of black people. Don't let anybody tell you this thing about posse comitatus has nothing to do with race. Wrong. Posse comitatus has everything to do with race. Everything to do with race, okay? So that's why when you see people that are like, for example, protesting. You remember a couple of years back when the people was protesting in Lansing? Remember that plot they had to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer? Remember that? Y'all remember all that? Remember all that? Okay. So what I'm saying is that posse comitatus, if them people had come in mass and the state police could not have stopped them, posse comitatus would have prevented the president from sending in troops to take control of Lansing if the National Guard wouldn't have been enough, okay? It would have generally prevented the president from doing that, but the Insurrection Act could have allowed the president to come in and do something about it. So maybe I'll pause right there for a minute, J Love, to field questions, because, I don't want to, unless you want me to keep talking. I mean, so, sorry.
Allie, go ahead.
About, while not being able to utilize federal troops on, citizens, community members of this country is good, because just thinking about how our political climate is. On the other end, I think about our various law enforcement departments. Their funding has increased monstrously, and with them being militarized and a lot of what people are calling cop cities being built around the country, that is a concern, and it makes me think about how they could get around that by just giving more resources to police departments. And some even say since 2020 they've done that even more because of 2020 and community.
Absolutely. Excellent point, Allie. I'm sorry, did somebody else want to say something?
If you don't have an answer, I got a video.
Oh, sure. I've got a response, but whenever you want me to say it. Well, what Allie says is 100% correct, and which is one of the points I was going to raise here. Police are to protect and serve. Okay, that's a state local agency. Okay, the military is federal, whose job is to occupy and kill. Okay. So they were never intended to be one and the same. Okay, they were never intended to be one and the same. See, that's what the Nazis did. Okay, they made the brown shirts the local authorities. Okay, they made the SS the local and governmental authority. Okay, that's the problem. And what Allie says is 100% correct. You see, what's happened is that when they talk about the United States, well, we have to have a strong military. We do have a strong military. Okay, we've got a very strong military. But the problem is, it's just like giving a kid a bunch of nice toys. Okay, so I'm a kid and my late mother gets me 5 rifles. Okay, well, I can only play one of them at a time. I'm going to start maybe letting some other friends use them rifles. With the military, with the money that has been spent on the military under the guise that we need to build up our military, we've got armored personnel carriers, okay? We've got machine guns, okay? We've got handheld rocket launchers. We've got all of those things. And what's happened is, with that excess Army surplus, we have either leased or given those military munitions to local police authorities. The greatest example I can give you of that, remember Ferguson? Okay, you go back and Google or YouTube some of the footage of Ferguson. You will see those police officers in armored military carriers, armored personnel carriers, okay? Straight off the streets of Iraq, okay? And I'm saying you don't need a 50 millimeter recoilless rifle to deal with somebody that's a protester. You don't need that, y'all. You don't need that. You don't need that. I mean, what's next? A flamethrower? So what I'm saying is what Ali says is right, not only in munitions, but in armament like body armor, okay? And limiting certain munitions only to police. People think they can have any kind of ammunition they want in the country. No, not true. That's not true. That's not true, okay? So what I'm saying is when Ali talks about the line getting ever blurred between local police and the military, when you Google or YouTube the military uniform, okay, full uniform, and compare that to the police uniform, I'm telling y'all, not that much difference. When they put on those riot helmets and those batons and those recoilless rifles, not a hell of a lot of difference, y'all.
Jay, before you play the video, Attorney Mack, my understanding is that even prior to the Jim Crow laws, at some point there was more federal intervention on behalf of and an attempt to have more of a equal playing field. And then at some point, due to legislation and I think also an assassination, it was changed and to the point where it was voted that the federal government could no longer intervene on behalf of the African Americans that, at that time, because at one point people were being prosecuted for the lynchings and wrongdoings, and that had declined. Those acts had declined for a moment until it was no longer a federal matter. It was no longer a federal matter, and it had to be a state legislation. States had to decide on what was going to happen to African Americans and to the injustices that were happening to them. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct. Absolutely. That's exactly what happened.
Just one more comment I want to make before you play that video, Jay, about the police, law enforcement, sheriff's office's comparison to the military. Yeah. And, them being different, but them not being the same. But, for me, I very much so feel they're the same. And I only say that because I think about where they're training. And even the Wayne State University police officers, including the chief, Anthony Holt, trained in Israel. And then also Tyree Nichols, who was killed in Tennessee, their police chief used training from the same place. And it goes to show how similar these two are. And, it just speaks volumes to what is the real purpose for them.
Yeah.
What is it really for? But yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that last week when we showed how these police agencies and Cop City and how their local policing agencies have these relationships with Israel where they go there and train. And so when you talk about protect and serve, or what you say, Attorney Matt?
To
Kill.
occupy and kill.
Right. So when you see that, and then you see what's going on at these college campuses, to college students that are unarmed, it's just, you don't need the military because you got local military, you know. So I wanted to play this video so we can see in action what we're talking about.
Take a minute and watch this amazing clip by UC Irvine professor Dr. Tiffany Willoughby Herard as she's arrested for protesting the atrocities being committed upon Gaza.
We cannot have a genocidal foreign policy in a democracy. These young people are going to be the ones that have to pay the price for these horrible decisions. These police officers out here today, that's thousands of student scholarships. Thousands of students could have been able to go to school and have books and have housing. But instead, our chancellor, who is a very cruel man, decided to send thousands of dollars worth of state funding paid for by the taxpayers into the trash. Are you concerned about this jeopardizing your job? Turn around. What job do I have if the students don't have a future?
What job do I have if the students don't have a future? That is leadership.
So, Attorney Matt, and Rabatia, did you see how they treated her? They had all those police. He's a professor at the college.
Right.
You would think she just killed somebody.
Right. And J Love, when you compare that to the insurrectionists of January 6th,
right,
2021, there is no comparison. Now, I'm not saying people weren't arrested. Okay. But what I'm saying, by and large, y'all saw what happened. I don't need to tell you what happened. You saw it.
A lot of those people went home, Attorney Matt, after they did all that stuff. A lot of them, majority of them went home.
That's right.
Now, they had to go and arrest them. And a lot of them wasn't arrested on the spot.
Right. And you notice in that video what the police were wearing. I'm sure you noticed that.
Yeah.
You saw those military helmets. You saw that shield. Okay. You saw the jacket for to stop bullets, bulletproof vest or bullet resistant vest. And believe me, I'm not saying police don't need to be protected. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying the imagery that you send out with that, okay, where you got somebody, you putting somebody on the ground. It looked like somebody was being put on the ground.
That was her. That was the professor.
Put that woman on the ground. Was that necessary? Was that necessary? You know what I'm saying? And see,
she was gonna kill you with her words.
See, and then see what I'm saying is, and when you've got somebody who typifies white supremacy in this country, who says, I will be a dictator, the man is telling you directly, that 2025 project they have, the man is telling you directly what I intend to do. So what I'm saying is, in terms of like the Insurrection Act, the man has let it be known right away. Any of these mud people raising hell in any of these campuses, I'm sending in the military. I'm cleaning them out like roaches. That's exactly what the man is saying. Okay, so when that happens, okay, and especially if you don't have like Democrats in the House or the Senate, Democrats in grave danger of losing the Senate, I might add. Okay, maybe getting the House, but the presidency, when you have a man that is willing to turn the deaf eye to the pleas of people, just like that woman, she ain't gonna get no she ain't gonna get no kind of leeway or mercy from Donald Trump. Okay, and by the way, the students have a right to protest. Okay, students have a right to protest. Now, I'm not saying somebody got a right to burn a building down. I'm not saying that. But when you try to victimize some people because they are pro-Palestinian, wanting to stop genocide, and you try to say everybody that is against the genocide of Palestinians is supporting Hamas, that's a lie. Because you notice how they always try to characterize the people carrying the Palestinian flag, they're pro-Hamas. Them people not saying that. Them people aren't saying that. Them people are saying my people or the people I represent are being killed, y'all.
Right.
They're
trying to change the narrative.
That's right. That's
to
right.
Fit what they want to believe, what they want you to believe.
That's right. That's right.
Really, nobody is saying that they stand with Hamas. They're saying we want to stop genocide.
Right.
We want to stop seeing babies getting killed and women getting killed and people just getting killed, period, for no reason. They don't have any guns. They haven't kidnapped anybody, but you're constantly bombing.
That's right.
Innocent people.
That's right. That's right. So yeah.
I want to show another video, you guys, and it picks up on something you said earlier, Attorney Matt. Hold on.
Republicans are the party of Lincoln, but black people are stuck on the Democratic plantation. Please stop saying this. Every time someone makes this argument, an angel in heaven loses brain cells. It's 2024, and Virginia school board members had voted to put the names of Confederate leaders on 2 public schools. Meanwhile, in Mississippi, Republican Governor Tate Reeves declared April to be Confederate Heritage Month. In Florida, Republicans are trying to punish local officials who remove Confederate monuments. And here in Texas, Republican Governor Greg Abbott has invoked the Confederate theory of succession to justify violating federal law. After lecturing black people to move on and stop talking about the legacy of slavery, white Republicans just can't stop celebrating the racist traitors who lost the Civil War nearly 160 years ago. That's one of the many reasons why Republicans are no longer the party of Lincoln. Republican Abraham Lincoln served as president from 1861 until he was assassinated in 1865. For the next 12 years, Republicans led the fight for Reconstruction. Then it all ended. The Republican Party itself effectively abandoned black people with the Compromise of 1877 that allowed Republican President Rutherford B. Hayes to take office in exchange for the removal of federal troops that protected African Americans here in the South. In the decades that followed, Republican politicians and judges would enable racist Democrats to terrorize black communities in the South, to drive out black elected officials, and to impose an oppressive new racial caste system called Jim Crow segregation. In fact, for most of the 20th century, both parties were openly racist. It took 100 years after the end of the Civil War for the parties to switch roles. So when Republicans today claim to be the party of Lincoln, they want you to focus on what their party did way back in the 1860s and 1870s, but to ignore what the same party has done since the 1960s and 1970s. Some even quote Malcolm X, who rightly condemned both political parties for their racism in a famous 1964 speech called The Ballot or the Bullet.
I'm not a Republican nor a Democrat.
But history didn't end in April 1964 when Malcolm X gave that speech. In the years that followed, Democratic President Lyndon Johnson went on to sign the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the Fair Housing Act of 1968, and to appoint the first black Supreme Court justice. But what have Democrats done for black people lately? Well, in the past few decades, the Democratic Party delivered the first black president, the first black vice president, the first black woman on the Supreme Court, and the first black party chairman in American history. Democrat Barack Obama signed a federal hate crimes law in 2009 after a black man named James Byrd was murdered by 3 white supremacists in Texas. And the last major civil rights bill, the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act, was passed by a Democratic Congress and signed by a Democratic President Joe Biden in 2022. That's how far the party has moved from its racist history. And that's why no Democratic candidate for president has won the white vote since 1964. Not Jimmy Carter, not Bill Clinton, not Barack Obama, and not Joe Biden. At the same time, the Republican Party has moved the other direction, adopting a notorious Southern strategy that evolved from loudly using the N-word to quietly deploying tax cuts to appeal to white racial resentment. Today's Republicans love to brag that the Voting Rights Act was passed by a bipartisan majority, but it was the Republican Supreme Court that gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013. And since that time, Republicans have been blocking every effort to renew the very law they love to take credit for. How else do we know the party switched roles? Because Republicans love the racist Southern Democrats of yesterday. 50 years after Strom Thurmond bolted from the Democratic Party to run for president as a segregationist, Senate Republican leader Trent Lott openly embraced him.
When Strom Thurmond ran for president, we voted for him. We're proud of it. And if the rest of the country had followed our lead, we wouldn't have had all these problems over all these years either.
And when Obama tried to remove racist Southern Democrat Andrew Jackson from the $20 bill, it was Donald Trump who reversed him. In fact, 2 of Donald Trump's first official acts as president were to hang a portrait of Andrew Jackson in the Oval Office and to visit Jackson's Tennessee slave plantation. Why would a 21st century Republican president show so much love for a 19th century racist Democrat? It's the same reason why Trump vetoed a national defense bill, so he could preserve a Confederate general's name on a military base in North Carolina.
Because I think that Fort Bragg, Fort Robert E. Lee, all of these forts that have been named that way for a long time, decades and decades.
But the military says they're for this.
Excuse me. I don't care what the military says.
And why Republicans in 2023 fought to protect a Confederate memorial at Arlington National Cemetery. The party of Abraham Lincoln, who once appealed to the better angels of our nature and fought the Civil War to preserve the American Union, is dead. The party of Donald Trump, who appeals to the worst demons of our dispositions and seeks to destroy the Union, is alive and kicking.
Wow.
Yeah, drop the mic on that.
J Love, you got to tell me how I can get hold of that video.
that was
J Love,
in the making.
send me the link immediately when we get off to my email for real. For real.
Yes.
He was spot on, you know.
Right.
He was spot on. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Attorney Mack, when you said that, I was like, oh, because, you know, we listening to even today as people are, I want to say, voting Republican or contemplating voting for Donald Trump. You know, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
What are you really focusing on? Because the same, when he's showing you who he is. And so believe he's going to do that when he gets in office.
Right. You know,
if you vote him in office.
And let me send a message to my Jewish brothers and sisters, okay? You know, when they had that protest when them white nationalists was carrying them torches, remember that?
Yeah.
Where was that, in Virginia? Where was that at? You know,
Tennessee?
Where, I'm sorry?
Was it in Tennessee or Virginia?
I'm sorry, but I'll look it up. But y'all know what I'm talking about. You know,
yeah.
We will not be replaced. Okay, you know, I want my Jewish brothers and sisters to understand something. Okay, if you sit back and think because people say they do not support Benjamin Netanyahu and the government of Israel and what's happening in Gaza, if you think that means that people hate the state of Israel or Jewish people, you are very, very, very wrong. Okay? Okay? Mm-hmm. I love my country, but I do not love the former president. Okay? Mm-hmm. Okay? And so, and if he should become president again, I will love him or not love him even more. Okay? So because I do not go along with the policy of a government does not mean that I hate the people who live in that country, J Love.
Right.
And so what I want my Jewish brothers and sisters to know, those of us who have a serious issue with Charlottesville, that's right. Thank you, Miss Sims. Charlottesville, that's what it was. So I want my Jewish brothers and sisters to know that when we stop and talk about genocide and put a stop to it anywhere, we stop it from happening in your country and in your neighborhood. You know where you live. Okay, mm-hmm. I would not tolerate Jordan or Syria or Egypt, you know, bombing Jerusalem. You know, or some countries in Israel saying, well, we fighting the government, but we killing tens of thousands of babies and women and innocent people. I wouldn't go along with that. So why would I be any different when I see an innocent child or the remains of one in a rubble, J-Love? Well, I mean, who ain't done nothing to nobody.
Right, Attorney Mack. And guess what? It did happen here. It did happen here. It was just the anniversary of it. On May the 15th of the bombing in, what is that, Philadelphia?
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yes, it was in Philly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So while we are not, for us who are not, putting it together, it's the same thing. We're talking about what's going on there, but we have agencies here that literally are doing the same thing. So if you must pay attention, because if they can do that here in America, they're easily doing it over there and getting away with it. And guess what? They can easily do it here and get away with it.
Yeah.
Because we are not involved enough. We're not focused enough. We're on some other crap right now. And this election season is going to prove to you, if you're not paying attention, where you're going to be.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You're not going to be able to complain if you didn't do your part, if you didn't participate.
That's right.
If you let yourself be distracted and all this other stuff that's going on and not paying attention to what's going on to you locally. And when we're talking about Cop City that Alex brought up, Cop City, we're not just talking about in Atlanta. They're building little cop cities all over the place. So, our silence is sometimes is consent.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. And J Love, if I could just say this one thing, and it is so easy to villainize the victim. It is so easy. When I hear some of my sick white brothers talk about law and order and look at Chicago, and I know good and damn well they wouldn't be within 300 miles of Chicago.
Right.
But yet they show so much concern for the black people in Chicago. You so concerned about them black people, okay? So you use them as an example of talking about law and order and how crime is rampant. But yet you seek to elect a person who says them people, terrorists, that's what I call them, on January 6th, some people are patriots. And if I have anything to do with it, if any of them convicted of federal crimes, I'm finna pardon all them people. I'm gonna pardon all them people. And not only that, when I'm at my rallies, I'm gonna play them singing the national anthem. Remember he did that? Saluting them people. Now, and I'm sorry, y'all. I know I'm preaching to the choir. Just think if that had been us.
Right.
Think if that had been us. Do you really think if it was 4,000 black men and women that stormed the Capitol, that Donald Trump would have been there saying, well, now police, now don't be harassing our citizens now. Let it go now. Y'all stop all that. Stop now. Okay. Do you really think that he would stand by and let his vice president have me and J Love's husband and Allie's brother and Reverend Tia's son stand there with a noose, and talking about where's Mike Pence?
But you know what, Attorney Matt? The killer part of all of this, he's talking about how he's been treated injustice,
Oh yeah.
With injustice, right? And comparing himself to black people, right?
Yeah.
And so and some of us are sucking it all up. Look what they're doing to Donald Trump. He understands. No, but he's already talking the opposite of it when he gets to office, what he's gonna do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's, so I don't know what I don't know what we're thinking. I don't know. Sometimes we are our own enemy, our own problems, because we don't pay attention. Like Amithia says, sometimes when we don't learn, history repeats itself. And if we're not paying attention, history is
Yeah.
It's repeating itself because we don't.
That's true.
Yeah.
We're
And
seeing it right now.
it's the play on words and the what's being going on in the media that keeps being told. So, you know, if they call themselves patriot, you know, we're patriots, even though their actions demonstrate otherwise, in the mind of everybody, they've already propaganded the word patriot constantly.
That's
And
right.
so this is a marketing. I mean, it's just they're using marketing ploys and all these narratives that people can catch. And as long as they keep seeing, and let me tell you something, things won't change until people, our people, stop seeing ourselves as victims, but more as victors. Know that you're color coded for a purpose. And what is that purpose? And how are you standing in your purpose?
That's
But
right.
if you keep acting like you're a victim and oh, woe is me, then we will never be where we need to be. But we are only going to be where we think, where our minds are telling us to be.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And sometimes you have to cut people off.
And can J Love, can I just say this brief thing here? And to all Black people that are listening who think, I'm talking about the Tim Scott, Candace Owen, Daryl, whatever that Black preacher is in, I guess, Atlanta, talking about Trump is his good friend. Boy, I had a litany of these names, and I can't think of hardly any of them. Anyway, to all y'all who think that you can out-white Clarence Thomas, to all y'all who think you can out-white a white supremacist and be accepted, you're very, very wrong. You know, I saw an interview where Vivek Ramaswamy, excuse me for butchering the man's name, the man from India, that millionaire that was running for president, okay, that's trying to audition now for vice president. You know what I'm talking about? He had a show and he had Ann Coulter on there, right? He thought that, you know, Ann Coulter be there and she's a good conservative and all that, and it's going to be good. I don't know if y'all heard about this or not, but let me just say it right here, okay? Now, that man is about my skin color, okay? You know, he's from India. Okay, he's from India. Okay,
right.
Now he had Ann Coulter on there, thinking that she was going to be real nice and everything, and she was. Said, "Oh, I agree with so much of what you said," and then she laid it on his ass. She said, "But you know what, Vivek? I still wasn't going to vote for you because you're Indian."
I got that video somewhere.
You know, J Love, hopefully, I don't know if y'all have seen it, but you should have seen the look on that man's face right there.
Right.
You know, the woman made it clear, I still wasn't going to vote for you. You know, you degrading the blacks and browns. That's good. That's good. That's good. You talk about people in America don't have nothing because they don't work hard enough. That's good. That's good. That's good. You talking about you got pride and self-respect in your family. You know, people around you don't be running around having babies on welfare. That's good. That's good. That's good. You know, talk about law and order is out of hand, you know, and then we got to do something to put all these people, hold them accountable. That's good. That's good. That's good. But Vivek, I still ain't going to vote for you. So my message to all you black people, stop insulting God. He made you the way you are for a reason, okay? Stop insulting God. I know I'm a crow, okay? I got black feathers like a crow. I got a big beak like a crow. I got big yellow or black feet like a crow. I do not consider myself a bluebird, okay? So what I'm saying is bluebirds and crows can get along, but don't try to pretend that you can fit in that nest. Your ass is too big. So what I'm trying to say to people is stop trying to understand something. A white racist national, a white Christian national, that is an ethnic group of which you have no place. That white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, nobody of color has got any acceptance there. John Kennedy was the first quote unquote Catholic president in the nation. Go back and research if you don't know already. He caught hell by just being a Catholic. They were saying, no, we cannot elect John Kennedy because he's going to take his orders from the Pope. Now, when other people that are Protestants ran, they never told them that. They never told them that about their creed. So what I'm saying is the problem that I think the Black conservatives have, they think that a racial or an ethnic nationalism is the same as a civic nationalism, and that's wrong. And that's a mistake they made. Omarosa found it out. Candace Owens found it out. Okay. And just name a few. Clarence Thomas will never find it out, but he'll die in office, thinking that way. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And so, Tim Scott, he will find it out. He will find it out. Tim Scott and I will have one thing in common. Ain't neither of us going to be vice president. Okay. So anyway, J-Love. So Black people, it's okay to be a civic nationalist or have patriotism in your country. Love and want your country to be what it's supposed to be. But do not consider that the white nationalists that are ethnics will ever accept you, because they will not. They will not.
Just few things I want to end with. One is, to everybody listening and to everybody out there, whatever you put your mind to, you can do. If you want to change these policies and make them fair for Black people, Palestinian people, everybody that's in this country, you can do that. It just requires you first to believe that you can, and you to be curious and start to ask those questions. When you start to ask those questions, then you start to get the resources. Resources isn't always about money. Sometimes it's about connections.
That's true.
And building community is a powerful tool. The power of people is very powerful. It's one thing to have organized money, but it's another thing to have organized people and organized ideas. And without that, we can't really achieve anything. So I just, encourage everybody to continue to make it, make sure that those in this world know that, we benefit from each other. We are the glue to make this a safe place. And we can do that together, y'all. So just wanted to say that. Also just wanted to say as well, keep an eye on local politics. At the end of the day, with all else going good or bad federally, look local, because that's what impacts you the most. Look at your judges, the judicial system.
That's right.
Look at the legislative portion. And then that is what impacts you the most. If you're struggling where to look or where to start there. That's what's most important over the federal level of Biden and Trump stuff. So that's all I got though, y'all. It's been real.
And when we organize, we win. So thank you, Allie. Thank you, Revertia. Thank you, Attorney Matt. Attorney Mac, I wanted to play that video, and then we're going to get out of here that you was just talking about. I found it right quick. We can't leave without playing that video.
Lord, thank you. J-Love, I got to get with you after the show or tomorrow sometime. I need to get that video with that Black man talking. I need to get that.
I'll give it to you.
You're so bright and articulate, and I guess I can call you articulate since you're not an American Black. Can't say that about them. That's derogatory. And that was a great opening segment. Lots of things to talk about there. Oh, and I agreed with many, many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian. We'll get back to that. And it's directly related to what you were just talking about. The thing about nationalism, you're totally right. It is like, to use the word nationalism, oh, it's Hitler, it's Hitler. And, Hitler had soup. That doesn't mean we shouldn't have soup. Mm-hmm. Hitler loved dogs. That doesn't mean you shouldn't love dogs. So I think we have to move past this. If Hitler did it, it must be bad. There is a core national identity that is the identity of the WASP. And that doesn't mean we can't take anyone else in, a Sri Lankan or a Japanese or an Indian. But the core around which the nation's values are formed is the WASP. We've never had a president who didn't have at least partial English ancestry.
So Attorney Matt, his whole demeanor changed.
J Love, J Love, J Love, J Love.
When they show you who they are, believe it, Attorney Matt.
Thank you, J Love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, but J Love, you know what? You know what? He still had his behind up there at the courthouse in New York, standing up there like said with Donald Trump. See what I'm saying? So the people that see J Love, I don't, I mean, so I don't know, J Love. You making me laugh. I don't know what to say. J Love, how you gonna be with the man and the woman done told you, I ain't voting for you?
Right. You should have clicked yourself off. You feel it? Anyway, you guys, it's been real. Thank you so much, Attorney Matt.
Well, thank you for letting me talk about posse comitatus, J Love. We can revisit it anytime you want, but I hope people got a basic understanding of it anyway,
I'm laughing at Blessed Love say he was speechless probably for the first time ever.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So you know what? That woman showed him how black he really is, J Love. Okay. See?
He thought because he wasn't an African American.
Yeah, that's right. See, hey, J Love, he may not be African American, but he close enough.
Right. Celeste, what is your question before we leave? I was waiting on you. Celeste said she found our channel and she had a question, but I was waiting on her. But okay. Anyway, Attorney Matt, thank you. Thank you, Reverend Tia. Thank you, Allie. We'll see you guys next week for turning a moment into a movement. And good night, everyone.
God bless y'all.